at 6:02 p.m. Hi, everyone. So Tim, you weren't with us the last meeting because
Correct.
you were on vacation, correct? So
Correct.
maybe we should introduce our new members and you can introduce yourselves.
Very good.
Okay?
I'm Tim Austin.
Hi Tim, I'm Allison Balsamis.
Hello, Allison.
Nice to meet you.
And Javier.
Hello again, Javier Vilas, Tim. Nice to meet you.
Agree beforehand.
Okay.
Good.
Very
Thank you
great.
for that.
All right. So we do have one item on our agenda, and I'm taking a peek here at Patty's, to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Did everyone have the opportunity to read the minutes? Okay.
The only thing is I think I have to abstain from the September because I didn't attend that meeting.
Correct.
And I have
Okay.
to abstain from, what's the April? Is it the
September.
There's two sets.
We're only
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
June
so
and
I have to abstain
September.
from June because I wasn't part of it.
Right.
Right.
As will Allison. So, Tony, will we have quorum to vote on the June
Well,
minutes?
maybe Laura's walking in right now.
I heard the door open.
Well, even though we were not voting, we still count towards the quorum, correct?
I think you, yes.
I think it still counts towards the quorum, we just have to abstain.
Abstain, okay, thank you.
But for the total of people present, it would still count for a quorum, yeah.
All right, great, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Good, so we have the June minutes. So I guess we can begin with the June minutes, which I know is going back pretty far, which we do need to approve those minutes. So if anyone has a motion. Okay, Leslie, is there a second? Patty, okay, is there any discussion regarding the June minutes? And I know you weren't on the committee yet, but, okay. No discussion, all in favor of the June minutes? Okay, any opposed? Any abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, all right, so that passes. And then we have the minutes for September as well. Any motions?
I'll make a motion to pass.
Okay, any second?
I'll second.
Okay, second, okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor? Okay.
This is where
You abstain.
Are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining, I wasn't here.
I
Okay,
would-
we have two,
same for
Patty
me.
and Laura.
Yeah.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes as well. All right. So that is our business for this evening. Now we're going to dive right into our first project. Laura, you weren't with us last week, so our first project is going to be to update the 2014 list of publicly owned properties. I have spoken with Stephanie in the clerk's office, which is where we got the binder from. I have spoken with Marcia from the assessor's office, and she has provided one of our attachments for today's meeting. And I believe you also should have the 2014 Cupop list of publicly owned properties. I think everybody has that, correct? Okay. The email that was attached to Marcia's list, which as you may notice has highlighted portions of it. These are properties that do not appear on the 2014 list. So we've been charged with updating this list. Now, per our discussion last meeting, we also want to make sure that the infamous binder of the publicly owned properties is also updated and essentially utilizing our finalized list of publicly owned properties as a table of contents of sorts for the deeds and all the other documents associated with all the individual properties within this book. And Javier had mentioned that, and it was a great idea, that we should also make this final book digital and available online. And we'll talk about how we can do that. That's a very time-consuming project. But first things first, what I want to talk about is the best way to attack this project. I would propose, and of course I'm open to any suggestions, that we compare the two lists that we have so far from the assessor's office against the 2014 list to make sure that 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 the new properties now appear on a new list, okay?
So the highlighted properties are properties that we already know or potentially don't
Correct.
show up on
On 2014.
2014.
Correct.
Okay.
So, we can certainly add those in there. Then we have to ensure that, and I'll double check with Stephanie in the clerk's office as our next step, as well as, Marcia in the assessor's office, to ensure that some of these properties do not fall off the list, okay? So, and then once we get the list completed, then we can dive into the book and make sure that we have all of the documents.
Nicole,
Yes.
I just want to mention, I had the opportunity to talk to Stephanie today when she brought up the book. And there were, I think I mentioned to you earlier, there were 3 watershed properties.
Correct, that's right.
And she confirmed that they are probably on this list. She didn't know their exact address, but she knew what road they were on.
Okay.
So maybe if we dig a little deeper with her, we could actually find the actual address.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Tony. So, my other thought is once we go through this list, and I think we could probably do it relatively quickly, and Tim has a lot of information too regarding some of these properties. So he's a great resource to have here. We should talk about how we can first pull all the deeds and all the pertinent information to add to the book. And then after the book is completed, then how we can scan all of this information in and create a digital copy of this so that we can have it on our site and provide it to the other committees and commissions within town that I know need to utilize the new updated list. Tony had made a great suggestion, and I'm sorry I'm throwing your name out there, but we did talk about having a high school intern or two with this project because I know we're all busy and this is going to be pretty time consuming, and the high school students can get community service hours for doing this project. I believe Tony's familiar with some students that have done work in the past, so perhaps we can talk about utilizing one of those individuals for this part of the project, if that's okay, but we'll talk about that a little
Yeah.
more. Okay,
Sure.
great. So does anybody have any other suggestions as to the best way we can attack this project? I'm all ears.
I've got a question. Given that that was printed at some point, it's got to exist in some kind of digital format already, right?
That's a good question. Tim, do you know if it exists in a digital form somewhere?
I do not, absolutely.
I don't, I've
But-
never seen it in digital
but-
form, I have to be
but-
honest.
And I have not seen the book, so I'm really going out on a limb here. My assumption that's what's in the book are the actual, what's filed book by book and page number for each of the properties.
Right,
Is
so,
that right?
yes, so in here, it's divided into different sections, and I can certainly show it to you.
Yeah,
and you
but,
can
but
review
I
it, right.
imagine as you can go into the online electronic
Mhm.
records, you, for each address, you can look up where it's filed. On the property card, it will tell you the book and page number that it's filed on in the clerk's office, and that corresponds to it's the legal document of the deed.
Well-
Usually there are other types of documents that are also filed, and it's probably the deeds that are pulled and in the book.
Deeds are in here.
So,
the
given
fee
that
sheets.
assumption, or given that knowledge now that that's what's in there, my assumption is that someone went, as they assembled this initially, and it was probably smaller when they first did it, and it's been added to, but they probably just pulled each of those one by one. So it doesn't exist as a document in its totality.
Right.
It's just in pieces. So I think you have to know, and you have a good lead now of what's been added since then. So that's, those probably are gonna have to be pulled and added in.
Right, I
and then
think,
the ones that are and that should also tell you, actually, the comparison of those two lists by the assessor should tell you what's now been disposed of or sold in some way, and those need to be pulled. And then-
Yes.
Besides adjusting the list, then I don't know what else is in the book that needs to be addressed, but That would seem to be the big job. But those are fairly easy to look up and
Right.
print out.
And, so to answer your question, I don't think this is digitalized anywhere. I don't think this
Somebody's-
2014
if somebody
list.
Talking about
types
the
them.
book or the list? Were you talking about the book or the list?
More the list.
The list.
list.
Yeah.
So, right, so there's the assessor's list is on an Excel spreadsheet, so like that spreadsheet is there is a digital copy that can be altered based on what we do.
So just delete everything that isn't a publicly owned property off of the assessor's list.
Well, or you can take that Excel
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet that already is in existence, if we work off of that one that has the highlighted, and there are ones that we have to remove, those can be removed. They can make a copy of this list, that they can then remove those properties, and we don't have to enter everything back into a spreadsheet or a master
Yeah,
list.
More of a
Yeah, well,
starting
just-
point, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just
good.
edit the spreadsheet.
Right,
Yeah, we'll do
and
that,
edit the
yeah.
spreadsheet, and that way
Yeah.
the list at least can be done relatively
Yeah.
quickly in real time, because it already exists
Yeah.
formatted as a
Right.
spreadsheet with the
Perfect.
properties on it, if that
Someone
makes
will-
sense.
No, it
Someone
does.
will need to own that master draft.
Like, well, yeah, so, because it's publicly owned property, so.
Right.
We will have that master draft and as part of our.
And Nicole, I will offer up, just if it's helpful, that Conservation Commission, we have a box set of folders that we use for our historic documents mostly, but we also put some of our working documents there. We could give you a folder there that whoever is editing can put it there, and then other people can also can review it and edit if you want multiple people to edit. So, and that's publicly accessible. That set of folders is published on our Conservation Commission page on the town website, so it fulfills any concerns about FOI.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Nicole?
Yep.
Excuse me, and just to your point, Allison, I might have misunderstood what you said, but, so I believe there's an Excel spreadsheet that exists for the 2014.
Correct.
Okay.
Right,
So
yes.
that's really the one which we use as a master.
Yep.
We should delete the watershed properties, I believe, and then add, cut and paste from here.
And you can literally cut and paste, that's what I'm saying, so if we went through the assessor's list from this Excel spreadsheet and just like copy and pasted it into like a Google Sheets document that everybody could work on
Exactly.
simultaneously, we could delete the ones that we know that we don't need, like the watershed properties
Yeah,
automatically.
there's only three, I believe there's only three from
And then
2000.
as we go through this other list, which is also like, we have PDF formats, but we can copy and paste directly into the spreadsheet, so this isn't, this
Not a
becomes
big
less time
deal.
consuming,
Right.
as far as making
Yeah.
the list goes. The
Right.
book is gonna, that's a whole other,
That's
you
a
know,
whole
that's a
other
horse of a
animal.
different color. But we can at least get the list done with some efficiency.
No, we need someone to do like a QC, just to make sure,
Right.
because
Oh,
someone might make a mistake,
1,000%,
and this
yeah.
is a,
And that,
a
that,
final
that actually
record.
that idea popped into my head. If we do use the interns, there should be some sort of review after their data entry.
I don't think the
if we
interns
use-
should be doing the
No, I was gonna volunteer.
I think the copying, I
Like
think,
scanning.
Yeah.
I think.
Scanning, yeah, but
once
not
Not
you-
entry.
Yeah, I would feel better.
Yeah, I thought if there's copying involved, and I don't know that they should be involved with original deeds, so.
No.
Yeah, so
No,
I
they
mean.
can do the copies that are inside here. We'll make
Yeah,
copies.
a whole punch or do something
Right,
of that
right.
nature, yeah.
I envisioned making the copies ourselves of the original deeds, or
Yeah.
getting those copies, making a hard copy of all of the documents with the added properties, and then scanning the copies, because original deeds, you're correct, I don't
No,
think that
nobody
happen.
should be-
Or data entry either.
No.
Yeah,
But scanning, certainly, I mean, that's a very time-consuming project, that's for sure. So, okay.
I was just gonna say that I can, how long do we anticipate that this is gonna take?
Oh,
This,
Mhm.
well, I don't think the list will take us long, because if we can just hop on
Yeah,
there and just add in, I mean, we
So
can
then,
get that done in a.
then we're talking about the scanning.
Then we're talking about the scanning. Well,
Okay.
first we have to pull all the deeds of the new properties, and then, so our first step would be adding the
Adding
new
the
properties
new
on.
properties
and
on
then
the
double
list.
checking anything we have to delete. We know about the watershed properties, and there may be others, I just wanna double check that. And then subsequently pulling any deeds, or taking out any deeds, right, into this binder. And then once we have all of that, then having someone scan.
So that's the main binder,
This is the main binder.
the complete town, of everything in the town. Okay, so then we,
Up to
2014.
2014. So what we're looking for is to put down, put in a folder or a binder, all the publicly owned properties.
Correct.
Okay,
Which
so,
most of the work's been done for us, because we have less than, I think, 50 highlighted items on here. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be terribly,
so how many hours a
Time-consuming.
week you think?
well, I don't want to keep people more than an hour at a time. I mean, we all have things
Okay.
to do, you know,
Okay.
so. Like
So
that, you
I'm
know, like
thinking,
7 o'clock
I'm
tonight
think-
will be done.
Yeah,
but-
I'm thinking, maybe I can come in and, an hour or two a week
Mhm.
and work on it.
Great, thank you, Laura, I appreciate that, thank you.
So
All right, I appreciate that.
So where would the work get physically
it would be done here.
Here,
In
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
either Tony, would help facilitate it, or
Yeah, I can
even
reserve the
Stephanie,
room and
or
we-
Stephanie,
Yeah,
I know Stephanie would be very helpful, so,
Great.
to get it done,
Thank you, Laura,
I mean, we've
appreciate
been trying to do this forever, and so it just, let's do it.
I
Let's
like
keep
this
I like your
attitude, I
style,
love it.
Laura.
Thank you, Laura,
so,
I appreciate it.
yeah, so I think the first step, you could come in with a laptop, we have the Excel spreadsheet, you just have to cut and paste from this.
You'll have a laptop, or do you want me to, I don't have, okay.
I mean, yeah, there you go.
You really need
That's
something.
I'm
you
happy
need-
to let you use mine if you wanna
No,
come in
but I
on
think-
Wednesdays while I'm downstairs working in the registrar's office.
Okay, what I
We
think
could
we
make that
need,
happen.
what I think we need is the town-owned laptop or computer.
We won't, we can't, because we can't let non-employees use that, that's linked to our town website.
Okay,
So there are security issues that are of concern, and we could always share Excel documents, so between us until we get a final document that will then ultimately reside probably on the Cupop page or something, and like that.
yeah, I gave my laptop to my daughter, I have an iPad and I have a desktop, so,
I'm happy to let you use my
Yeah,
laptop.
okay, you'll be
I'm
here.
here
I
Wednesdays
have a
from
laptop.
9 to 1.
Mhm.
Every Wednesday, I'm downstairs in the registrar's office from 9 to 1.
9
So
to 1,
If
okay,
that happens to work out and we can facilitate that in some way, I'm happy to do
okay,
that.
all right,
Okay, I can do that too.
okay,
So
okay,
we could do that on a Wednesday
on a Wednesday, yeah.
and then get it done, and then we can then have everything scanned over. Tony, if you don't mind checking on.
And I can scan
That's
it
Gina,
too, I
yeah.
can scan it too, so it's not,
You'll just need to know how to get access to the right spreadsheet. and how
right,
to,
I need
use
to,
your
and
laptop
to
just to
make,
make
you
sure
know,
everybody's around
And
to
that'll be
help
good,
you.
because I don't have to have you do that.
I can help.
And then we can just cut and paste, because again, I don't think that this will take a long time to add in there. I mean, right, and then deleting is just deleting, so.
Yep.
I don't think it's gonna be that difficult. I mean, get this done, and then we can, and I'll help pull the deeds with Stephanie one day. So I can make copies of the deeds for these properties, and so they'll be ready for the book, and then someone can be entering at the same time or something like that. Okay, that sounds like a plan. So we'll plan on Wednesdays and try to do that and get this done.
this Wednesday?
What,
No, I can do, let me see, maybe next Wednesday too, this Wednesday's not good
Yeah,
for me.
what's next Wednesday?
Is it the day after the election? Great, I'll be
Yeah,
on
yeah,
0
yeah.
hours of sleep,
Yeah.
but it'll be amazing. No, is it? No, next Wednesday is not the day after the election. Next Wednesday is only the 2nd. We
The
still,
second.
have, we still have 2 weeks to go. We
The
still have
election's
2
on
weeks to
E.
go.
So you'll
So,
be totally rested to do this.
oh yeah,
On the second.
it'll be great.
Completely rested.
I have, the solar company coming out to check, to do something for.
But really, the 9th, the day after the election, would be the best,
Best
day,
day?
because the registrar's office is pretty busy the
Okay,
next couple
fine,
weeks. But
fine.
then, yeah,
Okay, let's do the 9th, so 9 to 1.
That's the day before I fly out to Nashville.
Let's say I'll be here around 11 till 1, okay?
Okay, we'll plan on that.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
All right.
this is the 9th. Okay.
I really think with your assistance, because I'm gonna just put this out here, I'm very technologically challenged, so, you'll have to help me with that sheet?
Yeah.
And then we can pop it in there.
I'll have everything copied
Yeah.
and pasted already for you. You're just gonna have to delete and type the new
Yeah.
stuff in. I'll
Yeah.
have it all like
Great,
pre-set up.
great.
Okay, great, okay. And then, yeah, that I can do, that I can take that stuff out, but, and then, once we get that done, and then I'll start pulling, I mean, I could start pulling deeds in the interim anyway, because we already know what the new properties are, so I could certainly start doing that before next week.
Sure.
And then just have them ready to go into the book. And then we can just get this done like Laura said, because it's a
I was-
project that it's just time consuming, that's all.
I've been on this committee since 2010, I believe, and it's just, we've been passing it on forever. So it's just, getting people to do it. So
And
let's
now
just,
going forward, we'll have it,
We'll have
we'll
it.
have a digital copy of it that's
We don't
editable,
have to be
so we can
talking
edit
about it anymore.
Editable. That's, then we can edit.
That's not what we're talking about tonight.
And, sorry, and, so it'll be easier going forward if we want
Yep.
to add or delete,
Can
so.
I ask
Nick?
something, when you say digital copy, are you talking about an Excel spreadsheet, or what digital, are you talking digital?
Well, we should
ac-
talk, I mean, I think we should create our own spreadsheet for Cupop properties, right?
Right, but which we have one, which we'll just update, but when you say digital, are you referring to the images of the deeds being digital? I'm getting confused by whatever.
Well, I want a copy of the Excel spreadsheet on our,
Page.
site, on our page. And then this will also be available as well, right? I mean, can't we make this available,
Well,
or
I'm
how do we do
I'm
that?
just thinking, it could be, it could be, but then it's stagnant, because it'll be, once you scan it, it's a PDF, right? So that's what I'm just trying to understand, when I think digital, I think that you could go in and edit. So, but are you just talking about a scanned version,
Well, actually, that's a good
record
point.
copy.
So let
a
me,
record copy?
right, a record copy,
Yeah.
but let me ask you this. So let's say, looking forward to make this easier for those that come after us on this committee,
The registrar should have a copy of the digital one. so that
Right.
For additions and
Mhm.
deletions.
right, and what's the easiest way, because it will be, once it's scanned
Yeah.
in there, it will be a PDF. What's the easiest way to enter it in so that someone could just delete off of there? Do we do it
Right.
individually under each property?
Yeah.
And then therefore, if a property is, I don't know if it's possible, if a property is deleted, then everything goes with it, as opposed to having this entire
You can't
book?
put that whole book up as a PDF because
Yeah.
for editing reasons, that would be a
That-
logistical nightmare.
It would,
Yeah,
so,
that's what was my point, that was the point I was
I
trying
mean,
to
how
it
do
could
we
be.
do it by property?
It could be, it
individual?
depends on who ends up coming after you and what they're, like, you know what I mean? If we're
Right,
trying to
so-
make it as user-friendly.
Right,
Go ahead, Javier.
So Tim earlier said that they probably do exist in digital formats somewhere, just not together, right?
There are scanned copies that are attached into the town land record system.
Is that the GIS?
Well, there are two different systems.
Okay.
One has the property record, for each address, it has the property card.
Right.
right, which, yep,
And then there's a land record system that actually has the deeds and other legal documents associated.
Okay. So if we wind up with a master spreadsheet that has all the publicly owned properties, you can make the link, you can make the text a link that leads to, if it's already posted on
One
a
of those
publicly
systems,
available
yeah.
website,
Yep.
that links right to the deed, and then,
perfect.
and if you delete it, all the data
Then it
goes
all
with
goes
it.
away with
Yeah.
it.
Now,
That's what we should do,
Yeah.
because it would be
That-
very easy for people to just, to update,
And less room for error.
yes.
that- you know, that,
And that would cut down the need to
Scan.
scan.
Yeah, if it's already on, if
It's
it's
already
already
on.
uploaded,
So
we
maybe
should
the
leverage
link
that.
needs to be in your spreadsheet.
Right, that's
Right.
that's what he's saying, we would do a master list,
Mm.
and then at the end of the property, the information, link to whatever
Yeah.
online database this
Mhm.
stuff already lives
That's the
on.
most user-friendly
Yeah,
way we can make it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best.
And that
way
works
to
for
do it.
whatever documents we want to
Right.
refer to, not just deeds. It could be,
Right.
property card or whatever.
two comments. Number one, that would be, a chunk of work, because you have to go up and look those links up and then copy them. But I would make sure before you do that, and take a lot of effort there, that you just test it. That you
Of
can
course.
actually put that link in to the spreadsheet and.
Don't delete
and-
anything until you
and-
test it.
And, well, you're not deleting, you're adding column, but you have the link there, but I'm not positive it would link through successfully into those systems, because those are not town systems, they're third-party systems, so you just test it. You just wanna make sure before you
It's always
commit
good.
yourselves to doing a lot of work.
Right.
Right.
It's always good to make a copy of the link
Yeah,
and work from the copy.
yeah,
And then once that is all set,
Yeah.
then you can
yeah.
transfer it to the main link.
Yes, we should definitely test it before we put in every single publicly owned property and it does not work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, I agree with that for sure.
yeah.
All right,
So-
so that sounds great. So I'm assuming maybe Allison or Javier want to test it first and see if we can link something?
Just
Yeah,
to be, yeah.
I don't know I don't know what the system
You-
is, so.
Neither one of you familiar with the systems? I can.
I'm familiar with the GIS system, I've used that a
Okay.
lot, so I just,
I can,
Well, by default, it sounds like it's you.
I can send you over the links to the land
Okay.
record system, that's easy.
yeah, and that, what I suggest we do is we just enter 1 or 2 properties,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fully flesh them out, and then send them to everybody,
Yeah.
and make sure that they can use and
Yeah.
access
Right.
links from there.
Email it out to everyone here, yeah. That's
Yeah.
This is what,
So
just so
Tim,
you
the
can get an idea
GIS
of what's in
system
there.
is a land, what is it, a land record system, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what I call them, one is the GIS system, and the other was the land records for
Oh, okay,
the
well,
town.
and what does the GIS stand for? What is that?
Well, typical global information, or geographical information system.
They have the,
It's like 3 pages, right?
yeah, it looks like it has like a chunk of the those face cards, like those info cards, or whatever they're called. See if you go to this page.
Yeah,
And then it
this
has
looks like property cards on the GIS
property
system.
cards, yep. And then in the back are the deeds for the
Oh,
property.
so they have both the property card and the deed, okay.
Yeah.
What, I don't want to interrupt, but what are the sections in the book? Do they correspond to the sections in the Excel, or the listing, 2014 listing?
And I gotta borrow these cheaters, hold on one second. It is it's listed by street, by owner, by acreage, field cards by owner, and property deeds by volume and page. That's how it's divided up.
So, if the listing by street and the listing by owner,
And acreage, and then it jumps to field cards by owner.
so is that all the property cards and all the deeds repeated in each of those sections?
No. So it's like, they made the list different ways, right?
Okay,
They
so
find
the
it in
list is
order.
different.
Correct, the list is different, but
But-
everything else is only in here once.
Okay.
The field cards by owner and the property deeds by volume page only once.
So you could,
Okay.
you could look them up by
Yeah.
You can
different.
look at them
look it
different
up.
ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it tells you, what page it's on, right? So it's all
And
put out.
who uses that book?
This was created, I learned from Stephanie, many years ago,
Yeah.
by Cupop, and it's been in the clerk's office. So
Okay.
when I actually went to meet with her to tell her about this project that we were doing, she said, "Oh, I have a book for you,"
Yeah.
and I found this book.
So, let me ask again,
Mhm.
who uses the book?
I don't know who uses it.
Probably
Probably
Stephanie,
Stephanie.
when the banks are looking for deeds, and, yeah,
Again, the book is a lot of work.
yeah.
I think to answer your question, it's Cupop's book, and it was
Okay.
created by Cupop. So I'm
Understand.
assuming they're housing it in the clerk's office because it has the deeds and everything in it.
But as the comment was made, Laura, I think made it that, or, no, I'm sorry, maybe Tony made it, that the book is gonna be static. So it's out of date as soon as you do it. So I'm wondering who uses it.
That's a good question,
Even
yeah.
Stephanie even uses it anymore, because it could be since the time you referred back to that it was first created, that we now have the GIS system online, and
Mhm.
you now have a land record system online. So anything you need to look up, those applications let you, all the items you just mentioned, you can search by all those
Mhm.
types and
That's
find
a
the
good
property
point.
card quickly,
Yeah.
and cross-reference to the deed and go over.
Right, which is why I think
So-
it's important that we recreate
So-
this Excel sheet, right,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has these
there's
links
no,
because.
I mean, there's no doubt you need
Yeah.
this because it's in
Right.
COPD.
Right, that, yeah, we did for
Plan of
COPD.
Conservation Development,
Mhm.
POCD. But I wonder if the book has a use today anymore. I would just
Yeah.
raise that question for all, you know.
How do we determine whether something is publicly owned property? Right, so the book doesn't serve any kind of official purpose in that capacity, correct?
I think the answer to that, as far as I know, and I'm not a complete expert, is the assessor.
Yeah.
And I think that the assessor has a database that has the properties, because they try to tax everybody for their property, and it has a number of indicators on there. Besides ownership, it will tell you if the property is, what tax rates it's subject to, and many other attributes. I won't try to go down them all because I don't know them all, but there are attributes, and from that, the assessor is able to generate most of the data that you have here. Maybe not exactly in this format, but I think if you looked at it, you'd find that most of it's in there.
So is Tim telling us that we're working off the wrong
No, wait,
spreadsheet?
I'm trying to,
They're
so
over
I
the
can,
counter with
I,
Rich.
so, okay. So if, because we, Cupop and the commission, what we do, there has to live a master list that is updated, at least
Yep.
to the extent that we can have it be as up to date as possible. So are you asking if maybe we don't need like an actual paper book anymore?
Right.
But what we're doing by making this master list and then linking to the actual documents online could serve in place of doing the work of creating a physical book? Am I
Yeah,
Don't you think it's a
misunderstanding?
No, I
good
think-
idea to have?
Okay.
I think you're right.
Don't you think it's a good idea to have backup, a hard copy of?
Oh, no,
everything?
I'm trying to
Yeah.
clarify
Well-
for myself,
Yeah, no,
just to
no,
make
I'm
sure
just
I
saying,
understand
yeah.
his question. Listen,
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not a paper person
I hate
personally.
Yeah.
So I can see the point you're trying to make, but I also do think that for record wise, that, you know, Stephanie's got fireproof drawers and safes for records and books for a reason. Now, I'm assuming all those deeds and their original copies are already housed.
Mhm.
They're already probably backed up in a very safe way,
So, I mean,
so.
I can see you have a valid point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I also see the value in having everything in one place like an encyclopedia. So, I mean,
I mean, the good thing is we're not reinventing the wheel here. We have a majority of the properties already pulled. And it
it'd
really,
be
the
just adding
changes are
a couple of new
negligible.
ones.
So we're just adding to what's already in existence, just a hard copy. But moving forward, I think that, you know, perhaps we decide once this is completed, and let's get it completed first, how often we review the list, right, to make sure that it's up to date. Do we do it annually? Do we do it every 2 years? To ensure that, you know, we don't have to do it every 10 years, let's say, right? And then then we have to add in, what did I say, like, it's less than 50, but it's still
But still,
different
like, we're almost at
properties,
that
right?
10-year
And we
mark
can
now.
just, right, we could easily, you know, delete or add, or, you know, we can review it every year so that the town has it. And also equally as important, a lot of the committees in town need this as well.
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing with a lot of issues in town that that actually ask for this list. And I responded that we are working on it so that it can be utilized. So,
And I think maybe you do, like, it's two parts, like the actual physical book, maybe that gets physically updated, you know, annually or biannually, like pulling the papers. But if we create this master list that then has a way to link the documents, that is something that's much easier to
Yes.
add properties
Right.
to in real time
Right.
as that list grows. And that's something that we can keep updated on a more regular basis.
yep,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. So that's my hope, right, is to make it user-friendly, to be able to update this more frequently. And it doesn't take us weeks to complete, it takes us 2 minutes, you know, to just add or type something in, and that's it. So,
I think
like-
Tim's point though is whether that, if there's value to the book I mean, I think that was your point. What is the value?
Asking the question, I'm not,
Right,
I'm
right.
not suggesting
Right.
To
you
the
know
actual
here,
hard copy paper.
but
So
within,
maybe-
within town hall, asking the rest of the professionals in the hall, they should know if somebody goes down and looks in the book.
But I
If
think
nobody ever goes
Stephanie-
and looks in the book, then,
I think Stephanie
doing
would be a good resource to help answer
oh,
that question.
absolutely.
Because if it's just sitting there since 2014 and not one person's looked at it, I think that sort of is an indicator of the value of that book.
Yeah.
But if you say, no, people come all the time, then
And
it's
what,
worth
I love the
updating.
suggestion that if you have a link in here,
Yeah,
and people get a hold of this, you give them that electronically, and then they can just look up the ones easily that they need to look up.
And it's been an action item that was done in 2015, so it's always good to just make sure that, you know,
So you have a nice copy. Mine's also
yeah. So,
I'm gonna opine that this book existing in that format is extremely insecure. Because if it gets lost or damaged or stolen, it's gone forever.
Yep.
Right, right.
So whether we choose to have a printed copy or not, it needs to exist in some kind of digital format for longevity and continuity purposes.
Right.
absolutely.
Not to mention the benefit it brings from, you know, public information and freedom of information or whoever wants to access it. It becomes more accessible in that format. But just having it exist in this one and only format, I'm very uncomfortable with.
Oh, I agree. That's, you know, that's why I think it's a great idea to have it in both, you know, ways. I mean, this is the product of our committee. So we need to ensure that it exists in more than one format, right? It has to be online and easily accessible, like all the reasons I discussed. And perhaps we just keep this as well in the clerk's office, to also make it accessible to people that maybe don't feel comfortable with computers or, you know, for
Yeah.
FOIA reasons.
Yeah, I think making the priority, the digital list, getting the list updated and adding the links,
Mhm.
that's something that we can do relatively over the next few weeks and get that done. And then it would just be pulling and photocopying to add those to this book.
Right.
And then the list is something we could update much more frequently.
My concern is that I'm hoping, like what Chip said, it is a third-party link, so I'm hoping
Yeah, this
that
is
there
all
aren't
based on the
issues.
assumption that
That we
those
can
links
do it
work.
that way.
So,
and I don't
this
wanna,
is, we're all assuming
Yeah,
they
we're all
work.
assuming it's gonna work out.
I don't wanna be
so.
negative on it, it's probably gonna work, but there's this much chance that there's something
It
there
could
that,
be a little-
that would,
Right.
Glitch.
it's easy, I mean, you can do it in 10 minutes, but look up any property and just take it, put it in Excel and see if you can, if it links through.
Yes,
Sure
we'll
the
check
IT
it.
It's an easy one.
in the
So,
building.
okay, great. And then, no, it's not me, don't ask me.
So, I'll take this opportunity to say I'm glad I'm hearing you're looking at the formatting. I did hope to raise with the commission at the appropriate time. It may not be tonight, but at least I want you to know that would like you to entertain thinking about a couple other pieces of formatting for the list.
Sure.
And I was saying to Nicole before, I'm a big user of this. I use it a lot as we research open space for the Conservation Commission. And there are certain aspects, certain areas where there is, it's not consistent within the sections, that there's some information that would be really helpful to have here that's not. There are a couple corrections that I can give you for specific, a couple spelling errors that we can correct, but that's trivial. But I would hope we would just talk about a couple, perhaps, changes on the way the couple of the columns are used to provide a little more value to the users. So we can go in that. You know, and that could be after you finish the updating and then just add to the information, some of the other information.
What are your suggestions for layout of the list? Because we
Well,
may as well address it now if we're
we
gonna
can
start
go-
the
we can-
list.
We can go through it. In the first section, category number 1,
Is this the assessor, which list are we working on? Is this the
the
assessor's
only
list?
one.
COPD list.
Okay.
COPD it is, thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Category 1 is the town-owned property dedicated to open space or other use under the terms of grants and aid conditions. Are everybody familiar what grants and aid conditions are?
I'm not.
Could you repeat that?
The heading of this category is that it includes all town-owned property, quote, dedicated to open space or other use under the terms of grants and aid conditions, close quote, as follows, and it has the list. Okay, so grants and aid, as I understand it, is that if the state of, any legal jurisdiction, but in our case, it's either the federal government or the state of Connecticut. And if there's money given to the town that's then used for the acquisition of a property, that grant could contain conditions on how the property is used or what can be done with the property, et cetera. So it's of interest to the Conservation Commission because it talks
To
about
know,
what
to know
restrictions
what
are
restrictions
placed
are
on
there.
land.
Yeah.
And so in that category, there's a couple of things I've noted that would have been helpful to us over time. Number one, I think it'd be nice if the property's not dedicated to open space, which means, mostly no buildings on it, no development, then it would be nice to know what the other use is,
If there is another use.
if there is another use.
Sure.
That's not related.
So fill in the blanks, so to speak.
So
Yeah.
you mean
Yeah.
if there are conditions, if
What
they
are
are
those
a property
conditions?
that has conditions,
Well,
would,
Yeah, that's the second.
oh, that's your second, okay,
That's
so
the
I'm,
second
then I'm
item.
not, so what do you mean?
That's okay.
Can you
Well,
clarify the
well,
first point?
it's somewhat easy. So there's a property here, I believe, that is about 10 down, maybe 8, 1910 Litchfield Turnpike,
Okay,
and it's Camp Whiting. It's a
Okay.
Boy Scout camp.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I guess, most people would probably figure that out. If you don't know the town, you could get clearer on that. And there's some other properties,
It's the bird.
yeah, I
There
saw
was a little
that.
wasp that came
I-
right up to my
I
nose,
s-
sorry.
I saw that flying around.
okay, so you mean there should be a column for if the
Well-
property is already being used or has a use, that should say,
If-
You know.
If the, when it was either deeded to the town or acquired in whatever way, and it's supposed to have a use, we should identify that
the
use.
use, yeah, I don't
Or the
disagree.
town's, using it in a certain way. So that
What's
would,
reflected on the deed or what the town is using it for now? Should probably be what's on the deed, right? Because that could be fluid too. I mean, not to
well,
throw a wrench in there,
if
but
it's on the deed, then it's
then that's,
yeah. Probably locked in.
Yeah,
Most,
well,
most
yeah.
likely 99%
Right.
locked in, so yes.
Okay, so what's on the deed, okay.
Uh, The restrictions, the grants and aid, I've been trying to hunt down for the properties. Many of the properties in this category have, say there's a conservation easement for the Woodbridge Land Trust. And that would sort of tell us that it's reserved as open space. But that's, this doesn't, there's no information about here, in this whole section, about the grant and aid restrictions. It just says they are. So I've asked the question, which ones are under restriction from grants and aid? And I'm meeting with Tony Genovese tomorrow. He gave me some answers, and so, I have the ones that he could, the ones I asked about were the ones that didn't have conservation restrictions from the Woodbridge Land Trust. And he was able to answer about five of the properties, the ones that have transpired since he's been here, saying he needed more research on the others. And the 4 out of the 5 had a grant from the state. So the next step for me tomorrow is I'm gonna try to look and see what the restrictions are, if any. But on 160 Pease Road, for instance, a Leggy 2, he said there was no grant money used to acquire that property.
Right, and so essentially,
So it's on
in
the wrong
order to be in
list.
category 1 at all, it either needs to be dedicated to open space, or there is some grant and aid condition,
Well,
so.
Well,
Because
yeah.
that's what it says. If that's true about that particular property you just mentioned, then it shouldn't be in category 1.
Well,
Right?
actually, I think it's even goes a little further than you said. I think the way that reads is it's dedicated to open space or some other use under a grants and aids condition. So
Right.
if there's no grant and aid,
Then it shouldn't be on there. That's what I'm saying. So that property
Yeah.
you just said is in the wrong category
Okay,
then?
yeah, so I think what we should do then, once we add and delete, before we go through the process of adding in the deeds, we should ensure that it's
They're in
in
the
the
right
proper
categories.
category.
Right.
Yeah, well, and you'd have to, again, research whether these have grants and aid. Even some of the, I didn't ask about the ones that just say Woodbridge Land Trust. Because from an open space point of view, I know they're protected, but I don't know that they have grants and aid. They may still be in the wrong spot.
Okay.
How do you know, how do you learn, how do you understand that? Is that on the deed or?
No, there is some challenge here, Tony, and
That's
and
what I
it's,
thought
and
you'd
it's,
say.
and it's confusing. Because the grant, the conservation restrictions are typically in the deed.
Okay.
But I have never read a deed that mentioned grants and aid. The grants and aid that's a source of money. And so they're outside. I think the grants and aid documentation, I'm hoping to find out from Tony tomorrow, is that the finance department will have good records of what money source was used for an acquisition of a major piece of property. And then you have to go back and look at that grant. I think is gonna be the process. I'll find out tomorrow. I was hoping before this meeting I'd get there, but our meeting was postponed. So I'm trying to run some of that down, but
So 160 Pease Road, right, which you were just talking about?
Yeah.
That's Pease Park playground and the soccer fields. But you're saying that it doesn't have a grant, there's no grant money that had been used
according to the
according to the deed, right?
email that Tony sent me on September 29th, he said there was grant, none.
Well, that was also a huge issue with the Fitzgerald property, because the Fitzgerald property was purchased in order to expand public buildings. In fact, they wanted to build the firehouse there,
Yeah.
and the town wouldn't, the townspeople wouldn't allow it. But people didn't realize that,
Right.
they could build on there. It wasn't, open space.
Right,
So I
that's
know-
correct. I remember that from the dog park and everything, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
It's for the enjoyment of the town, it wasn't open space
It's for the,
necessarily.
yeah,
Remember that.
yeah, okay, so, I mean, we could have built the firehouse if the people didn't come out and say, no, we don't want it on the on the Fitzgerald property.
Right.
So, I don't know, they were thinking of changing the use on it, so I don't know if that has occurred,
I don't think it has.
Okay, because
but
I think
we should
they-
double check
What-
Yeah.
that everything's
Who
under the
is
right
they?
category.
The
In this case?
the town was considering changing the use because
How would that,
the people didn't want to build on it, so,
how would that happen?
it-
Do
well,
you know?
the town purchased the property, so then they could change how the property would be used, and maybe it would go to a referendum or something.
Right.
Yeah,
I-
I remember
you know-
them talking about that.
Maybe that's why it's still the way it is,
Yeah.
because I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a
I
easy
remember,
task.
I remember them talking about
Right.
it, that they wanted to
The
change the use on it, you know, but, because, you know, there's never gonna be any building on there. I don't think, you know, that's not gonna happen. But I guess you could never say never.
Never
It's
say
not-
never.
There's
Yeah.
not many
So-
ways I know of to protect property.
Yeah,
I mean, the
Yeah.
grants and aid seems to be one.
yeah,
It comes down from
Yeah.
state law.
mhm.
The deeds are another one, of course, the major one. And-
But I think it was purchased, this,
Yes.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
purchased, yeah.
I've-
Javier, you,
So given the amount of research that has to happen here, because the more we talk about this, the more factors come into
yeah,
play.
yeah,
I don't want that to get in the way
of what
of
we're,
us going from bad to good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not
Well,
perfect.
and that was my comment.
Because
So
we
I-
can move
As-
everything around.
after you finish-
And that's one of the benefits of having an electronic.
Electronic,
right?
yeah,
So I
Yeah.
totally agree with everything Tim has brought up. These need to be fixed, but I think they can be iterative,
Yes.
right?
Yep,
We
I
can
agree.
yeah.
create the
That
list
was my
first.
comment, Javier. After you get
Yeah.
the list
Yeah.
put together.
Create the list and then we could go
Then look at the
in.
next phase.
Because there's a lot of information that, I'm learning,
Yeah.
right, goes
Yeah.
into each one of those listings.
Yeah,
So if we make sure that the properties themselves are accurate and belong on the list in any capacity.
Yeah.
Put
They
the
do, yeah,
list,
they do,
right,
yeah.
but so we'll have that master list, and then adding
Put the use-
information into a column
put it,
is.
yes,
we-
put the
we can-
use
Right.
in a column.
Correct,
and,
and
you know,
add to it as we
You
research.
could say A, B, C, and then have them look up
Yeah.
what A, B, C.
I mean, I think we should say no restrictions if there's no restrictions.
Yeah, yeah,
Easy.
and
You're
R,
going down the list,
and
and
R.
R.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
it.
you sort of have that, well, I'm gonna withdraw that.
There's all sorts of things I could go in that
Exceptions.
column, I
Probably
think.
different
Do you want me to quickly mention the other couple
For this
types-
list?
Types of things, types of changes?
Sure.
Just
Okay.
knowing we're not gonna do it till later on, but just, so there's a,
Sure,
so know
so we
about it
know.
ahead of time and,
Yep,
and don't do something.
Forewarning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forewarning, I guess.
we'll take the warning.
Just, well, before we leave category one, the 1966 Litchfield Turnpike Shepherd's Farm,
Shepherd's Farms.
I think
Yeah.
there's a spelling error there.
Yep,
Um,
yes there is.
And I can give you that correction later. In the second category, which is town property, the uses of which are now under the direction of existing commissions or other agencies of the town.
Yep,
I think it'd be nice
I
to
think it'd be nice to know what commission.
which agency, yeah.
I just
Commission
saw
or
that,
agency,
I haven't even, right, that'd be nice.
Okay. And then the category number 3, there's the column that has the vacant land there.
mm-hmm,
A lot of them say vacant land. Some of them say, the first one, 157 Ansonia Road, Smith subdivision, and then then the district animal control is one, and you'll see Tarbell property down below. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture of sort of how it's being used, and the common name. Common name is it's stored someplace in one of the systems. So it'd be nice, I think, to split those and know, and most of these might come out as vacant, but some of them, we know the animal control is not. But
Right.
that's a clear difference. Okay, and then in that same category, an easy one, down in the middle, the Canolds Pond, I think
I saw that.
is spelled okay. So,
I like the choo-choo part.
I like Choo Choo Park, I'm stuck on Choo Choo Park, I was
Well-
like, oh.
Because it used to have a choo-choo train there.
I know, I was like,
And
where's
it's
Choo
not
Choo
there
Park?
anymore.
I know, I'm sitting here going, I know Center Field, I know exactly what property we're talking about, but like Choo Choo Park, how to get that name?
I know, I didn't know there
It
was a
used
Choo
to
Choo
have a
Park.
Actually-
choo-choo train, a wooden choo-choo train that the kids used to play
Actually,
on.
Oh,
Actually,
Does
that
anybody
park,
remember that?
Yes.
How did
That-
you?
Yes.
that park was established because someone's daughter got killed on
Yes.
a bike,
Yeah.
and so it was in her memory. So
Is that the
people-
little playground?
so the
Yeah.
little
Oh, I
playground.
know where Choo Choo Park is.
Yes.
I didn't know it
forget-
was
I
called Choo Choo
for-
Park.
What's that?
I didn't know that was the name
That's
of it.
not the real name of it.
But that's what
There's
it's
a-
known
Uh,
as.
we
There's a
should,
There is,
we
yeah,
should
it's a
probably call it
family.
after the person.
After the person, I mean,
Yes,
it's-
and it's, there is,
Plaque.
there's a plaque.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
For
what
her.
really it should be
And we-
called.
Tim's point home.
It
Yeah.
should be named after
After
her.
the-
There's a plaque
Yeah,
that
I
There's
know.
a
it was
plaque.
built in
And
in
Yeah.
honor
people
of and in
call her-
dedication to this child
Exactly,
who passed.
And it should
Exactly.
be in her
That's
name.
what we should do,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, especially since they donated the property.
And the
or
choo-choo's not there anymore
You
anyway.
know, and it just,
And
Right.
but I think
And-
that that was a good name for the kids, the little kids that went there, instead of saying, so, you know, they
For
went,
the
okay,
kids,
we're going to
yes,
the choo-choo
for
park.
a documentation of the property.
Property,
you
yeah,
know.
we should call it by.
And
the-
Laura, that's,
the-
it reminds me, that's one of where they protect property, is a dedication as a park. It's
Yes,
protected.
yeah,
Oh, it is, okay, that's
yeah,
interesting.
it's a park,
So
yeah.
it's
Wait,
protected.
which one is that?
It's
If there-
protected.
If there's a dedication as a park, then it's,
Oh, that's
Protected.
protected, right, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
so
any-
that was sort
Those
of-
are,
But
those
there
are.
I
was
have a-
even
I have a-
talk of changing the name, you know, at one point, you know, or change, I mean, I think, you know, even though they go, oh, people don't remember, they don't know, but, you know,
You know what I noticed the other day, and I feel ridiculous not knowing this, and I'm sure you all have seen this, and I have never. Behind that playground, almost, you know, the tennis courts are on your right. If you're going to go straight back,
yeah, yeah,
there's a
Trail.
pavilion back there.
Lions
Yeah.
Pavilion.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
a great space.
yeah, it is.
I
a
used,
good
I
space.
used it a lot during COVID.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never
they're,
been up
in the
there.
open under
It's part of
shelter.
the Blue Trail.
Is
Yeah.
it part of the Blue Trail?
Yeah, it's part of the Blue
Yeah.
Trail.
it's beautiful
They tried
back
this
there.
actually.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll go back there because I just
Yeah.
noticed that. I don't know how I missed that. I drive right by there every day. I live right around the corner, so.
It's tucked
Old
away.
ruins of old houses too.
Yeah, that's so
Yes,
nice.
that old fireplace. It
Yeah.
was like-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it, but
Still
okay, I'm gonna
stands.
have to look at it. Okay. Any other corrections?
There are some factual things like land trust, conservation easement, but I'll do that later, as we go through the details.
Yeah, and then we can make sure those are correct as well. All right, so we will test it out, make sure it will work. And then, once we get the green light that's working, then add everything in and I'll double check about any deletions to, make sure we have the right address for those three, right, Tony? So, that we can fix on that list. And then I'll double check with, the assessor to make sure that nothing else should come off of the list. Although we can compare it, like you said, to
And
this one.
one more thing, I know Tony mentioned that we can't get on the computers, but when I worked in a school system, okay, when parents wanted to volunteer to do some work for us, or even students, the IT person would come in and set up an account. So I wouldn't have, or that person wouldn't have access to everything on the town, but, you know, they would have like access to whatever needed to be accessed. So I don't know, I'm sure that that's something that,
It's only a spreadsheet we're working on, so there's really not a need to be on town website, you know? Cause then once it's finalized.
but it would just make it more easy, I think, I mean,
I
you
mean,
know.
honestly, I'm going to take this spreadsheet that has the green highlights on it, and I'm going to copy and paste it for now onto a Google Sheet, which I can email the link to everybody here.
Yeah.
And then if you click on that link, you can start to edit and
Okay,
alter and work
okay.
on the spreadsheet from home.
Okay, perfect.
So that.
But I'm just saying
And
that
it only
that's,
people, we can
yeah.
restrict the access, you know, the access can be restricted.
it shouldn't
so-
be that, you know, big problem even to do it here, you know, you
Yeah,
know,
the list is public knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, that would be great. I mean, I could knock this off, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like
my, that would be, my intention would be to have it, everyone could, it would be a working
Yeah,
sheet, and
yeah.
if you have some time, you'll be able to see what changes.
The only problem
people
is I
make.
do have problems with Google. They're always telling me that I've gotta buy more space,
Oh.
you know? So it's just, I just bought space, and then now they're telling me I gotta buy more, so.
Well, this shouldn't count against your space, cause it'll be on a different account.
Yeah.
You would just
Okay.
access it.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
so if it's,
Allison needs to find the space.
yeah. You could pay for it,
I
right?
have plenty of space, plenty of space, trust me.
Oh my gosh,
All right.
So Allison, do you have the 2014 document too?
I do, yeah,
Good, okay.
yep, and that's what I'll use, that's the one, I have all of them, I'm just been working off my phone.
And then we'll leave everything as is right now with categories, and then we'll change everything once we determine.
Yeah, now that's the
Does Tim
question,
get
do
some
we
answers?
want, because the spreadsheet as is with the highlighted is not categorized,
That's right.
I
so,
think we need to use the 2014 document as the base document.
Yeah, that should be the basis for
That's-
categories, but then,
Do
'Cause
you
that's
have
what
an
the
Excel version of
PLCD
that?
will need.
I can make I'll turn that into a table, I can
Yeah.
do that.
Cause these are the three major
That
categories.
printout, I'll turn
You
that
can
into
do
a
that,
table.
okay, very good.
This looks like Excel.
Because
That's
that,
in Excel,
This
that's what
one.
I mean, you should have that in
This looks
Excel
like-
format.
Well, no, right, I have that one in Excel format, but that's not categorized.
No, but you have the, so have that, do you have the this POCD in the
Yes.
Excel format?
I do that.
Right, so this.
No, that one I don't. The
Oh, I
one we
think
were just
Sheila-
working off, I
I
do
know-
not have in Excel. If
I-
it exists in Excel, that would be
It does
advantageous.
exist, I will try to track it down.
from Sheila.
Okay.
Oh,
I think
good.
Sheila had it and
Yeah.
had given it to us.
Yeah,
at one
Sheila
point.
should have it.
Right, so this should be the
That would be
base.
good.
Yeah.
That'd be great. If you could get that, hunt that down from Sheila, that would be, cause I think that should be the starting point,
Yeah.
because it's
Exactly.
categorized and we have a work, that would be great. If you
Yeah.
can get that to me, and then I will make it a working document we can all work on.
And then we made on the 9th,
Yeah, I'll be here.
all right, around 11
I'll
to
come in.
1. Yeah, okay.
If I'm lucky, I won't have to come in until 11.
Okay. Let's pray.
And then, great, and then we can knock out some more information, we could do some at home, like you said, and then by then we can start, fine tuning it and pulling what we need to out of the clerk's office, and we'll be good to go. So excited to get this project going, right, Laura? That'll be great.
Yes, it would be.
Ugh,
Get it done. out of the way.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Because that POCD is coming, right, soon.
it's coming.
It's coming, so they're gonna need this. All right, great. All right, does anybody have any other questions? I think it's a great starting point. And I almost, 3 minutes over. So.
So yeah, I was 3 minutes late.
Yeah,
That's my
there you
fault.
go.
Look
Yeah,
at
there
me.
you go. It's all your
we-
fault.
Can I just ask that you put maybe some energy, projects? I know it's not publicly owned property, but let's have a discussion about energy and how to move forward, trying to get, help the town to get some funding to help the residents get the split systems or solar or whatever. I know,
Yeah, we could put that on the agenda for one of our meetings.
Yeah.
We'll
know
talk,
we-
let's talk about that, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. I wanna focus on our projects and knock those out, and then we'll hopefully be able to, we need another project, so we can continue on down the road, okay?
well, I did talk to Beth, but at this point in time, they're focusing on, other things, but I just don't want the residents of the town to miss out on all the advantages of solar and the split system and geothermal and whatever, all the tax rebates that are available for them. So I think that it's important for us to kind of vet all this information so that they're knowledgeable of it. And so,
Yeah, a lot of those things
Okay.
are over at the end of the year, so you have to really be like.
well, I think some of it will start to next year.
January.
Yeah,
They're gonna
so,
start up again
yeah,
in January
start
for
up
sure.
again, so I just wanted us to be ready, because there's, I don't want us to lose the opportunity to take advantage of those funds.
Okay, thanks, Laura.
And then are we also, somehow still pursuing, some of our efforts in the accessibility projects with Jeanette?
Yes, I did give Jeanette did give the update on the last meeting, and of course, I will get another update on that. Right now, I'm focusing on, getting this project underway. We're waiting for answers on that, so I'll talk to Jeanette about that by the next meeting, and we'll have some more updates for next meeting. Okay?
And future meetings are all gonna be in person?
I think that's what we voted on.
I
Okay,
think
just-
we
just-
were a little unclear, because we said we were gonna do just special projects or required meetings to be in person, and we left it open-ended.
Well, I
So-
think there's a hybrid version, which I'm gonna look into, that was utilized, I believe, 2 weeks ago for the meeting here. So let me look into that and see if there could be a hybrid, so
Yeah,
that,
only
those that
because
wanna meet in person can meet in person, those who wanna do
The
hybrid.
numbers are going up again.
Mhm.
I have friends, local friends, that went to a funeral, a wake, and they all came back 60. It was a high spreader. 60 of them caught it. So, we don't have the death rates that we did before. I'm triple boosted, so, but at the same time, I think it's important to make sure that we, as community members, help each other, protect each other, and at the same time, I don't wanna catch anybody's Kohl's either, you know, so that's why I'm wearing.
Well, we'll
it.
definitely be monitoring the numbers, but like I said, I'll look into they utilize a new system, so let me see, I believe it was successful, but I will double check on
I think for
that.
the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
meeting.
Board of Selectmen, right?
Yeah, I think there was like 2 hiccups, which was a win,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's okay.
yeah.
I should just say also that there's some maybe some staffing issues to run that, owl, it's called.
Yes,
So-
the owl.
Yeah.
owl?
hmm So that's another consideration. So I think for some of the smaller, commissions, that have to do one or the other.
Well,
'cause I
let's see
just
where
had-
we are
'cause
on the
we were
project.
Because we were lucky to get this
Right.
today. Pua said, she told me she was available to film this tonight, but she explained going forward, there may not be the staffing to do this. So, and if so that's part of the issue there.
So that means that we don't meet in person, or we do
No,
meet in
so
person?
Or are you talking about the
So when
hybrid
you
option?
meet in person, so just for FOI, when you meet in person, you don't need necessarily to have it filmed, because people could attend the meeting, it's
Right.
a public
Mhm.
meeting, right? When it's on WebEx, which is virtual, it's gotta be recorded, and
Oh,
I
I
could
see what you're
record
saying.
it.
Oh, okay.
But Pua doesn't need to record.
Right.
Because I often will record,
Mhm.
give her that,
Mhm.
it's not edited, but she could throw that onto a YouTube link. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
oftentimes when she's not had the support,
Right,
how her and I will
yeah,
work that out.
that's great, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we'll touch base before the next meeting and see what the situation is in terms of
And-
staffing, and also if we're like in the process of doing this and can complete this, then, we meet and complete it and hopefully be done with the project.
And the other thing that we should take into consideration too, it's just, prices of gas are gonna go up. Prices of oil is going up, winter's coming. So I think, doing it from home would save people money and,
Well, unfortunately, so the town won't let us stay home for gas prices, but
okay.
if there's a
But
health
I'm just,
issue,
I'm just saying.
if there's a health issue,
That's another thing to
yes,
consider, so,
right,
yeah.
so.
And there is the ventilation devices in every corner that you
Mhm.
might have noticed
These
them.
these are the
Yes,
devices, okay.
mhm, they're to help
good.
with ventilation.
I was just gonna say, maybe open the windows and.
Yeah, you could open them further, certainly.
Yeah, but it just, numbers are going up again and it just,
I agree.
So we'll touch base before the next meeting, see where we are on this, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
The
ninth.
ninth.
The
The
ninth.
9th, not this
Not- not
Wednesday.
Or
this
the
Wednesday,
following,
Or the
right.
following.
And I look forward to seeing how it works.
Just so we don't show, I've
And
shown
I'm looking
up on
forward
the
to
wrong
seeing
day.
how the test run goes, so hopefully we can go forward on that. We can all jump on the Google and,
Yeah.
You're gonna test the link, Javier, right? You'll like,
Javier,
and then
you were in my
you will
default.
try to track down
I
the
will.
Excel version of that for me.
I
Okay.
will.
And then we'll
Yeah.
start
Good meeting,
doing that,
thank
we'll all hop on, we'll all get that done. And then, I'm really optimistic that we can maybe get this done and
Yeah,
have, one more meeting doing this. I mean, I know it's a lot to
Yeah.
ask, but I'm really optimistic
Yeah.
that we may be able to get this done. And then, looks like we may be off in December, but we'll talk about
Yeah,
that because of where our
okay.
meeting falls, and we usually are off in
Yeah,
December.
yeah.
So let's hope that we can get this done
Before December.
before December,
before the
okay?
holidays.
Does anybody wanna?
It's
oh,
ambitious.
sorry, go ahead.
I just have one question, so you'll let me know whether the November 28th meeting will be,
Right, we'll
in
touch base
person.
because we have to see where we are with this,
Perfect.
and we may have to meet again
Yep.
and get this
perfect.
completed, so that would be great. And so we'll touch base before then. That's it, so does anybody wanna move to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Second.
Second? Okay,
All right,
Laura,
Yeah.
all in favor?
aye.
All right, thanks
Thank
guys.
you.
All right.
Have a great night.
Good to see everybody.